Welcome back. You hear my wife in the background laughing as usual. 2016 Mazda CX-5. Is that right? I don't know.
Right there.
I don't know what it is.
It's right there on the back.
No, the year, I mean. The year. I can't see it. I got a good flashlight. I don't know what year it is. No, I know what year it is. Like now. But I don't know what year the car is. Thanks for enjoying yourself. I don't know what this is. I believe it's 2016. I lied. 2013. 2013 Mazda CX-5. Can you hear that? She's over there cracking up. I don't know what's so funny. Whatever. Needs rear brakes. Push the brakes, drive it, push brakes, feel it in the seat, kind of a pulsing in the seat. That's rear brakes. So we're going to do rear brakes on this. I'm going to pull the wheel and we'll do. First things first, caliper slide pin bolts and mounting bracket bolts. We're going to get them out of there. 14 millimeter, the slide pin bolts, 14 for both actually. This car has the same on both, so let's break them loose. Loose. Just undo them. Hopefully you have enough light. I don't know. One. Top one. I thought I brought a screwdriver with me, but I didn't. Let me see if I can wiggle this off. Yeah, I'll just kind of set that out of the way back here. Get my bolt before I forget it. I'll just stick the bolt right back. Actually, I don't want to stick the bolt back in there yet because I'm going to need to get at that with a wrench. Alright, same thing here. 14 millimeter mounting bracket for the caliper. And I'm going to hit my light if I do that. Let's see if I can hit the camera. Bottom one. Not a good angle. Move my light. Light was kind of right in my way there. That might be a little better. Come on. Come on. Okay, I'll set that aside for now. Pull the rotor, and I'm going to bring you back out front where you can see better. I'm going to clean the face of this, get the rust off of these. They're not too bad. You can use Scotch-Brite or emery cloth or sandpaper. I'm going to use, I'm going to try the Scotch-Brite here around the hub, particularly around the face where the flange is, because that tends to be where they hang up if they're going to hang up. see it, but they're not bad at all. Spray that down as well, clean it, and then I'm going to push that piston back in. You can do this with a pair of needle nose pliers and stick it in the grooves and turn it with a needle nose pliers if you don't have the tool, or get the loaner tool from most auto parts stores, loan it to you. You know, you just got to take it back and they give you your money back. All my things fell out here, and I don't know why, but they did. So, put them back in. Got a mess going on. Come on. I don't know why everybody decided to fall out, but whatever. So, I got the right size here. I'll just stick it on here. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. We'll turn it in some more because it won't work unless I do that. Tool in there. What you got to watch when you do these is it starts twisting this boot. You got to kind of unwind it and then get some of the junk out of it and clean it up. Put a little bit of grease on it or something. It's not twisting this boot, so I'm not worried about it. But sometimes it'll do that. Blocking my hand, blocking you with my hand. Oh man, fight me on everything. See if I can do it this way. Trying to get you some decent light. Get in there. Come on. I'm going to keep my hand out of the way. Of course, it's not going to work, but I'm going to twist that, turn that all the way back in. Need to hold my tool here because it's turning as well, and I don't want it to. You can put a wrench on this if you have to, but I'm just holding it with my fingers. It's turning in enough that, easy enough that I don't have to do that. It'll bottom out, just let it bottom out, and back the tool off. Come on. You're being a pain, aren't you? You don't want to let go. Alright. Now I'll get a wrench. Being a pain. There we go. Helps if I turn it the right way. That's it. It's all the way back in. Alright, so I'm going to put a thin coat of grease on the face of this. You can use fluid film, or I use wheel bearing grease because I have it sitting right here. And I'm also going to grease the back of these tabs and the face of this piston. I'm going to use brake grease for that because of the heat. You want to use brake grease. So, or silicone paste. Thin coat. What you're doing is keeping corrosion at bay. Keeping it out of there. And just a thin coat on this. Move the light here. Don't need a lot. Just want to get it coated. Same thing, keeping the moisture out of there, keeping the corrosion at bay. I'm going to take the, we're going to take this over. Let me set my light here somewhere. Maybe I can show you. Can you see it? No, you can't. I've got my, I can't even think today, mounting bracket. We just pull the pads out. These are pretty much locked up in there. They are not. I got that one out, but it didn't go easily. There's plenty of pads left on these, but they're They're locked in there pretty good. Okay, pull my hardware, that off of there. I'm going to go over, I'm going to pull these pins. You want to check your boots. Pull these pins out. They look pretty good. They look like they're greased pretty well. Probably don't have to do them. At least that one. This one I'll redo. It's looking a little blackish looking. A little eh. But they're not locked up or anything. There's no holes in the boots. The other side had a tear in one of the boots, so I have a boot kit coming for it. But if they're locked up, try to get them out. If they're, you know, they need to be re-greased. Like that one looks really good. It actually looks a little thin. I will probably re-grease these. Use brake grease or silicone paste, whichever you're using. I'm going to come in behind where the hardware sits. So I'm going to take it over and file the corrosion out of here, and then put it on the wire wheel and clean it up. I'll show you that when I get back and when it's done, and then we'll put it back together. Alright, so I don't know how much of that you saw because I just realized the camera was not on. So I cleaned behind where the hardware was. I filed the corrosion out of there, wire wheeled it, greased behind where the hardware goes. I don't grease on top of the hardware, always a big controversy. You can do what you want, but the hardware is stainless steel. All I'm trying to do is keep moisture from getting in behind the hardware and actually corrosion building up in there, and then what it does is pinch the pads. It just pinches them together and then the pads won't move. I pulled my boots, pulled my pins. This one is just giving me grief, and I don't know why. Re-greased them, slid them back in there, new grease, cleaned them out really well. If you get air in the boot, sometimes you get air in there, you push the boot in and just grab it with a screwdriver or a fingernail like that, pull it down so it doesn't have any air in there. This one's, I'm not liking this one. This one's got the bushing on it and it's giving me grief right now. I'm going to pull this one again. It's the lower, so it goes on like this. The lower one has the bushing. But I'm not real happy with the way it feels because it doesn't want to move. It's turning, but it doesn't want to move in and out. So let me grab a pair of pliers, get that out of there and see what's going on, why it's giving me grief. I took that pin out, the one with the bushing. I'm just going to slide it down in there without the boot. That's better. See, it gets some air trapped in there. I don't know if you can hear that. And it was locked up in there. Not locked, it would spin, but it wouldn't move in and out easily, and I want it to move in and out easily. Let's put the boot back in. These boots you can take out because they're just rubber. There's no metal. Some of them have a metal insert. You can't really reuse them. If you pull them out, you're going to put new ones in, which I had to do on the other side because it had one that was torn. So I'll just put that boot in there, kind of turn it, make sure it's seated all the way. Put a little more grease on this pin. I greased it once, but I think it could use a little more. Don't put a ton on there, but you need to have some in there. All right, let's push this pin in. Just kind of slow. Let it push the air out a little bit as you push it in, so it doesn't lock it up. That's a lot better than it was. It was locked up before. Like, it would spin, but it wouldn't want to move in and out. It's because there was air trapped in there. So there's a little bit of air in there, so I'm push in, grab the top of the boot. You can do this with a little screwdriver or a pick as well. Kind of peel it out and get the air out of it. All right, so that's much better. Make sure it's seated all the way. Both of them, they can go in and out. Everything looks good. Let's put the hardware on this. I've already greased, light coat of grease behind where the hardware goes. Just going to clip our hardware in. So, all right, it's ready to go back on. Let's get the rotor, put the rotor on, and then we'll come back and finish this up. Got the rotor. Show you the part number in a minute. Stick our rotor on there. Just going to put a lug nut on there to hold it in place for me. Get this up out of the way. tight first now. I'm going to put some Loctite on these. I have to go look up the torque specs for this, but let me move you back down inside so you can see what I'm doing. Right, before I forget, here's your part number for rotors. These are fully coated rotors. I use fully coated here because of the corrosion, salt, and during the winter and that kind of stuff. They seem to hold up a lot better. And the pads to go with them. There's the pads. Let's rehang this caliper bracket. I have to look the torque specs up for these. I don't know off the top of my head, but we will torque them. We'll snug them up, and then we'll go look it up. We'll torque them. Come on. Oh, my wrench is here. Got buried. Trying to get a spot for you where I can give you some decent light. Let's see what I'm doing. I'll snug them up. We will torque them. I'll torque them. I got to go look the spec up, but I'll torque them. But let's put the pads on. I have my pads. They have wear indicator tabs you clip on. There's a clipped on. I want them so when they wear, they push in. I don't want them to push out because it has a tendency to break them off. So in this case, they want to be on the bottom. So that's how I've got them set up. We're going to slide these in. I hope. I certainly hope so. The hardware cooperates. There's one. Do the same thing, reach around the back and do the same thing. Both of them, they had 4 indicators, so they're both on the bottom. Put the end on the indicator first. There we go. Took me a minute, but they're both in. Push them against the rotor. We'll put our caliper back in place here. Get my bolts for that. Actually, let me go look the torque spec up and torque the 2 mounting bolts first. I'll be right back. Okay, I torqued those 2. I'm not going to tell you what the value is. Look it up. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. So go look it up. It's easy to find. Now I can set my caliper, and these are just going to be, they're going to be 25 foot-pounds maybe at most. I'm not even going to, we're just going to snug them up. Don't get nuts on them. They're small. Don't crush them. Just start them by hand. Make sure they get started in the right way so you don't cross thread them. Come on. Fighting me a little bit. You may have to hold, there's a hex here that you may have to hold. I know you can't see a stinking thing probably. I'm blocking it. There's a hex on the inside. Line it up right. It may start to spin on you, which this one's doing a little bit. So let me get a wrench for that and hold it. Okay, I just got a hold of that hex on the inside with it's 18 millimeter for these. They're pretty large. I'm surprised how big they are, but I'm just going to hold that so it can't spin. Snug these up. Just snug them. You don't need to crush them. Just cause yourself grief. That's it. And that's pretty much it. It's good to go. Obviously, we'll put the wheel. Pump your brakes till that pedal gets firm before you try to drive it, or you get a scary moment because you won't have any brakes because you got to reseat these pads against that rotor. So make sure you do that. That's it. Pretty simple. Not hard to do. Let's go. I'm going to go drive this. So I want to seat these pads. They call them bedding the pads. Different for different rotors. What I generally do is I'll take this out. I'll drive it 40, 60 miles an hour. Slow it down to about 10 miles an hour. Don't come to a complete stop. And I'll repeat that cycle a couple times. Then I'll drive it for a little bit, let it cool down a little bit, and I'll go through that same cycle maybe 8-10 times. That beds the pads to the rotors so they work like they're supposed to. So you want to do that. And then that's it. I mean, basic maintenance need to be done. Definitely had an out of roundness on them. But they should be much better now.